All right, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have Malcolm here. Malcolm, you're somebody that has shifted culture. You came up with this idea to create a new type of underwear that was really helped so many different athletes and became so widespread in the space. And now you're building something new as well. You're looking towards the future with Mendid and trying to create something that's different as you see another niche in the space. And your kind of whole idea, throughout many of the different verticals that you've been in, has been trying to make things cool and really culture relevant, shaping the culture around them in areas that may not have been explored beforehand. So I'm excited to have you here and to get into your story.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun to jump on these things, and especially with someone like yourself that also is on the entrepreneurial path and building some really cool things.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, so Malcolm, where did your passion for entrepreneurship and wanting to be involved in culture and and with athletes start? Where did that come from? How did that start?
I mean, good question. I think my experience, or not, just my everything is perspective, right? It's all what we gain through our learning experiences, our moments in life. And so, growing up in Southern California in San Diego, I think a lot of when you look at hip hop artists and musicians or anyone that's kind of made it, that you look at their past, it wasn't like just a clear line, no speed bumps, no trials and tribulations. It was normally a pretty rough path to push someone to break through. And I think, and I respect that so much. And I think that's why, I think hip hop, music has controlled culture for such a long time, is because there's such a drive to push through what everyone said you couldn't, that there's no stopping. A human being that has seen so much adversity, you could easily fold and not go after dreams, or not go after even the unattainable. So growing up in Southern California, my parents separated when I was 2. I had a dirt bike, a skateboard, and certain things. So I was kind of more that independent action sports kid, which was for a lot of people, it's independence. It's your escape, right? You don't need anyone else. You don't need a team sport. You don't need all this other stuff. So it's if there's not a parent there, a parent figure, you don't have any excuse to go skateboard and go on a mission or go jump on your dirt bike, much like we see in the bike life culture. I mean, that bike life culture literally was me at 7, 8, 9, and 10. I would have to ride my bike 2 hours on the street to get to the 7-Eleven to play video games and get candy. So, sometimes the cops would find me, and I was a chubby little kid, so I'm riding down there on my bike, 7, 8, 9 years old. And I started going to court, for getting tickets, at 8 and 9 years old. So scariest thing in the world. But what I'm leading to is all these things that shape you are what create that perspective, that what makes you different, what makes us all different. And as a person of faith, I believe to each their own. But for me, of faith, I think God has put a special gift in all of us. And the challenge is to release sometimes what we think we know and kind of just open up who we're truly intended to be. So all of these different things through my life have been this thing to where it's I've seen people suffering. I've seen people going through hard times. I've seen people not living out their dreams. I've talked to tons of old people, my grandparents, before they passed. And it's always I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I would have went after my dreams. So how I build, when we say culture to me is just an experience of something authentic that you went through in a childhood and a backstory that allows you to piece things together that eventually leads you to a place. And if you believe in that place, even though it's weird enough and it seems like no one else will understand it, much like how I pioneered a culture that happened to make underwear, it wasn't just about the underwear. It was about identifying a category that hadn't existed in $1 billion space that was normally just an accessory, and turning the accessory into a category. But my whole thing was, what fun is a barbecue when you can't have your best friends there? So I wanted to build a company that wasn't conflicting with Nike or Under Armour or the big companies. And most people in their contracts didn't have underwear. But then I also looked at all my athletes, celebrities, and musicians, rock stars, and just friends. And I said, what do you guys, dopest hat? New Era hat or New Era cap or something. And they had the fresh Johns, the fresh Nike kicks, or they had an insane full jumpsuit getup, whatever it was. But then if you're going to the gym or somewhere where with guys, sports and motocross and just all kinds of, when you're changing, I'm all, damn, dude, the underwear category is looking shady, bro. What are you wearing? So full 360 of all of this stuff together is, to me, I felt like I was blessed to go through so many things that gave me this cracking open of my gift to kind of realize I love helping people. I believe in people. Belief is a big thing. If you're going, man, if I see you right now and you're going through a hard time, you're leaning on drugs or alcohol, it's easy to just go, oh, he's a loser, right? It's easy to write somebody off. But how I was built was like, no, I see something in you. I see a belief, and if I could be that little spark that can instill somebody to believe in themselves, not like saying don't do it, just position words and position experiences that allow you to go, oh my gosh, I want to go after my dreams. I want to live my life. So the culture I build is about instilling in people the belief that I have for them to believe in themselves. So the brand doesn't make you, you make the brand, right? What I mean by that is Nike has done an amazing job, right? That when we put on Nikes, we either feel stylish, we feel fresh, we feel like Michael Jordan Jr., you're going after your dreams. But the brand doesn't make you, you make the brand. Take the inspiration, put those things on, but go do the work. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, one of the legends of all time. I mean, that guy, his work ethic, his family ethic, everything about him is obviously why we will remember and talk about Kobe Bryant forever. And it's also why Michael Jordan and Kobe were buddies, right? That's not an accident. That's two people recognizing greatness, right? And pushing each other. So long answer is all of these things, all of this excitement, it's in you, it's in me, it's in all of us, but are we going to use the gifts that God gave us?
Mhm. Yeah, that's pretty interesting insights. I mean, you have to be able to put those gifts and that vision into the product, but you also have to decide the right product to do. And so for you, you decided on underwear. You thought it was outside some of these bigger brands, the categories that they were in, and you thought you could imbue culture into that. Why specifically the underwear category, and how did you go about creating something innovative and different in that category? Because there are a lot of other underwear brands in the world, while also making it something that was culturally relevant as a lifestyle product.
Well, I don't know if if you feel this, but like fear of other people's opinions is lack of belief in yourself, right? Because if you believe in yourself and you're confident, whether you were born whatever skin color, birthmarks, whatever it is that makes you different and authentic, if you don't believe and run with that, Helen Keller, blind, obviously, the people that have like Stevie Wonder, one of the greatest musicians in the world, blind. I mean, no excuses, leveraging these gifts versus making excuses. And I think the underwear category, if you think about it, I don't know if you remember this expression, but sometimes moms or grandmas would say it's what's on the inside that counts.
Yeah, of
Meaning like
course.
yeah, okay, you can floss your Gucci, your Prada, and all that stuff, but man, if you're suffering on the inside, and so underwear you can't see, it's not a billboard, and it's not like in your face unless you got the six pack, you're straight from the gym, your shirt's off, and it's summertime, it's 85, 90 out. But for the most part, you can't see it. So it was such an expression. But then I'm like, when you wore underwear, why didn't you feel the same as if you had a American Express Black Card? Check me out. If you had that fresh hat, those fresh, Air Force Ones, why did you not feel the same? But this is so important because you put it on in the morning, and when you look yourself in the mirror, how do you feel about yourself? And tighty whities, all these underwear. There's a part in the leg where if you don't go past that lengthwise in the leg, that they rise up and they hike. So even if you take a tighty whitey old school, you go to a boxer brief, which Calvin Klein and everyone kind of pioneered the next length. I'm like, wait. And then there was longer ones, but they were compression. So the compression was so tight. It's like, I don't want to go on a hot date, meet the girl of my dreams, or go do, just a combination of your daily journey. What's going to allow people to want to do that, to feel good even when you can't see it? But then when you do see it, the band represents something, which obviously, at one point, everything I build in a brand, which is now from the past in the underwear category to now, Mended to me is mended in the end I did. It's about living your life to the fullest, not just liking everyone else's life and, likes or the life and living vicariously through them. It's like, dude, it's back to that belief. So I always said this: if you were at a trade show and we were all your homies, everyone was just in underwear, how are you going to be feeling about yourself? And how's everyone going to be looking at you? Right? So it's going to be like, damn, you're going to be looking around. So white legs, skinny legs, different, this and that, hairy legs, whatever the case, you're going to be like, dude, whoa, look at Johnny over there. Look at Steve. Look at Sarah. Everyone's going to be having, but like the longer length to me was confidence, and it was taking out the phobia of a category that used to be a spontaneous buy, minus what Calvin Klein, respect to them, and the Mark Wahlberg, OG. But how do you instill the same confidence that full layered clothing gives you when you're looking in the mirror, you're looking at the brand? The brand is a band to me. It's always been a band, rocking with a band, and we're coming your way. The band is more than just, a jacquard waistband. No, when you see that band, it says dude, I am here. I am ready. I'm going after my dreams. I don't know everything, but I'm going to keep figuring it out, and I'm going to keep climbing and grinding. So the band to me is huge. And then what's below it? Little longer length, doesn't rise, doesn't hike, could do sport, but also cross over to your everyday lifestyle needs. So I know it's a big answer, but it's like no one took the time to truly understand the human behavior and what would make someone feel better to encourage them, even when people can't see it, to be believing in themselves. And that's what goes back to it's what's on the inside that counts. So when I say I created a lifestyle, I completely hacked the entire thinking process of what cloth or what material was and turned it into something that I think truly people didn't get it. I got called out a lot. They're like, man, what are you doing? This doesn't make sense. It's too long. I would go into like Zoomies and Tillies and the senior buyers, and I've been in the clothing business for a long time, growing up working at No Fear and Alpine Stars, being part of the launch of massive global brands. And I'd go in with this brand and just drop they'd be like, just the senior vice president of sales would be like, just show them, drop your drawers. I'm in like glowing samples of like almost glow in the dark, like Ghostbusters underwear that are longer. And these girls are like, wait, why, the buyers, why not Speedos? Why not this? Why not that? Because until you believe that you have a gift and what your vision is so strong that you think you're going to change the way things are done, you never will. And I'm not comparing myself at all to the legendary Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or all these great figures. But if you look at what they did, they got shut down. No one believed in them. They encouraged people to believe more in themselves because this little phone that we're all going to connect through is going to change the world. And although it's an underwear category, so it's not necessarily comparable, it's the thought, it's all part of like human being, right? And when you jump into human behavior, back to caring. So I'm giving you long answers because like it took a lot to truly change the way people looked at a category that was once just underwear. I never even called it underwear. Just I always called it by the name. Like, no, this is something different because this is going to make you feel different, operate different. It's going to motivate you. Back to the brand doesn't build you, you build the brand. So I built something in a category that I put all these people that started believing in themselves. So when they showed up to my barbecue, it was all positive vibes, all good energy. And that's what creates that ripple effect. And that's what shifts culture. And that's why I had Justin Bieber, Meek Mill, and just so many people. Even today, with Mended, I have so many people that, part of it's a belief in you. Who's the founder and what does the founder stand for? I'm on this pod right now with Ben because Ben believed in his gifts and this space and what he could create. And then you took an artist and yourself and you came together and brought some amazing stuff into the NFT world and revitalized how you look at sneakers from a digital aspect, still creating that same feeling when you open up a fresh pair of Jordans. So it's just like, it's all about all these little moments that create momentum, and the momentum is what creates open windows. I always say, let it breathe. Like right now, obviously, as a kid, I was a chubby little kid, didn't talk much, was kind of shy. But when I get excited to talk about inspiration and people, this isn't about me. This is about me being on a podcast to, have you ask questions to hopefully bring value to somebody.
So it took like 8 years or so. I think you founded the first company in 2001. It took about 8 years or so to get your product down right. And there was a certain point where I believe you felt like you had enough traction with athletes that they felt that they needed what you were building. Why did it take us that certain amount of time? I mean, obviously you don't want to rush, creation, right? You don't want to rush the artist. Why did it take a certain amount of time, like, 8 or so years to be able to really build it out? And then at what point were you convinced that there was going to be this product market fit, that you were going to actually have something disruptive in this category? You always believed in yourself, Malcolm, you could do it, but that you really had something substantial to scale out.
I mean, great question, but belief in myself would be a lie. Like I didn't know, like my teachers told me I wasn't going to succeed. I wasn't the SAT high score. I wasn't great at sports. I was pretty good at motocross and BMX and skateboarding and snowboarding and stuff like that. But the team sports, the normal quota of I didn't really fit in, right? So the interesting part of your question is you said 8 years. If you look at like a lot of companies, everyone's like, oh my gosh, they just blew up, but it's really a 10-year overnight success. It's the grind, it's the dark in betweens, it's everything when you believe so much when you're about to lose everything. And so sometimes to make something great, and in this case, like the underwear category, I went back and forth, back and forth. I had designers, I had manufacturers in China. I was working for one of the greatest cut and sew manufacturers in the game. I mean, this guy was a silver fox. He had, the Porsche, the house on the beach in Del Mar, and he would introduce me to fine wines when I'm like 18 years old. But he took me to all the international domestic fabric and trade shows, and that's what really opened my eyes to how fabrics can weave together to create something great, and respect to any brand that's kind of gone after it. So to answer your question, like really is like good things happen over time. I mean, the old school Rome wasn't built overnight. It's just like, what are you doing and what are you going after? But some of the original underwear I was developing back in the day, oh my gosh, it was like, it would come and I'd be like, and also here's another thing too, when you deal, you have to find the flow of your supply chain. So if you make stuff in China, you're going to, especially going back to like 2000s, early 2000s, you're waiting for a month for the sample, then you're waiting for a month, and unless you air it in to go via vessel, overseas, and then it's wrong, and then you have to make changes with your pattern maker and then go back. That could be a year, 2 year, 3 year process. I mean, if you look at a lot of brands, and if you ever, this fit sucks. I mean, I always think with the Nike, I always get tripped out with the Huarache, the shoe. It's like the Huarache. Why does it, like, I can't order it online because every time it fits different. And we're talking about Nike, right? And maybe that's part of the marketing. You got to get them in person. It's something really special that they don't want you to just think you can just order them. But it's like, I've got like 5 pairs because I really like that shoe. And dude, every one fits different. I'm an 11 in one, a 10 in one. So 8 years it took me to really dive in to find myself, but I wasn't confident. I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to surround myself with mentors. I believed that this product existed, but until I put it on myself and until I gave it to 10 of my best friends to put it on, and they said, man, I'm going to throw out my Calvins, my Under Armours, whatever, and no disrespect, not throw them out, but like literally replace my drawer with this new fit. When that happened, that was like probably like 6-7 years in. But instead of making excuses in the midst of it, I would market nonstop. So, I mean, I had covers of magazines. It might have been hats. It might have been stickers. It might have been everything. But I wasn't going to give up and just stop and not get momentum going in the process. So just because you're going after your dreams and you might not have the finished product, it's always, I would always encourage, don't make any excuse to just start. Because most people wait too long and they wait for that perfect moment. That perfect moment never happens. Even when I finally did get the fit, or even now with Mended, it's like, I like it, and I have people going, "Oh my gosh, this is the best underwear I've ever had." But then I'm also like, no, it's in my heart. I'm like, I'm striving for something so much different, and I haven't even got to a place where I believe my gifts and what I'm going to do to the category again. I haven't even started. So you asked a question, I gave you a very big, rounded answer. But if you rush anything, sometimes you don't allow it to breathe. In life, things need to breathe in order to get the oxygen to truly live. So I kind of feel like I wasn't happy with what I was getting, so I wasn't going to settle. And until I felt like I was bringing something of value, that's actually probably the most important part. Until you truly feel like this product, whatever it may be, sunglasses, digital sneakers, whatever it is, until you feel like someone's going to look and it's going to give them the chills or have them think differently, it's fine to start, but don't think you're going to change the world, until, the BlackBerry thought they had it unlocked till, the iPhone was announced, and then they fought it. If you watch the documentary, they're like, oh no, he's like, no way. Everyone needs a keyboard. It's like, everyone needs a keyboard until they don't.
So speaking of what you're doing now, Malcolm, with Mended, right? Like you said, this is kind of like this is your second, venture into this space. But you want to do something different. Like, what are you really aspiring to achieve now with Mended that you see as just not currently being done in the category, and how do you think that that's going to impact culture?
Another great question. Culture is interesting because I'm not trying to change it. I'm trying to just provide. If it was a dirt bike, it's oil on the chain, right? It's oil in the motor. Like the better someone has an opportunity, the less friction and the less kind of like when I build a brand, and anything from my supplement stuff we can talk about to, which is my love for family, and I'm a dad. I have a 7-year-old daughter, so that's my life. So everything I do is for my wife and her. So that's first and foremost. I used to build a business that I could fill I'm sorry, I didn't have a wife or a kid when I was doing past businesses. When I did, get blessed to find, my special someone, and then marry her, and then have a kid, and then suddenly everything changes, and all this, you become very unselfish and very much more aware of like your time and your value of your time. So to your question about culture, it's like, I don't think I'm some like crystal ball, like I'm hacking culture, but I care so much that when I see people suffering and not truly living out their dreams, normally that's where my brands and my ideas come from. Because it sounds crazy, and I normally don't say it like this, but I truly believe that I've survived car crashes. I flipped a Range Rover in '06 with my buddy 8 times on the 405 in Los Angeles. In 2000 something, I broke my back with Travis Pastrana, went off a jump, broke L1, 2, and 3, was knocked out for like 30 minutes. I've had a lot of injuries, and when you have injuries like that literally you look at people that aren't here with us anymore because of similar injuries, and you are here, it kind of makes you go, I better ride this thing out, and I better live this thing to the fullest. So, so I don't think I'm reinventing the wheel yet, but a name, there's not a lot of names that you see. There's so many names these days, and what does that name even stand for? And that's why I believe in life, you're either wearing a blank shirt or you're wearing something that uplifts you in some way and makes you feel something. So to me, I don't think I've even been able to explain what Mended is yet, but to me, I can kind of run you through the gamut of just my mind and how it thinks, right? And there's a lot of history with brands and other names and stuff that that I built, and they all have some sort of value system to them. But Mended is I got a hat over here too, but it's me, mended, in the end I did, right? So it's Mended, it's your identity. And so I trademarked Mended, but then I also trademarked a grateful thread, right? So to become Mended is a goal, right? Would you agree? Like, we all have a goal to become the best version of ourselves: spiritual, mental, physical, health. I mean, if you don't have all these things, rest in peace, Steve Jobs. I mean, the guy had all the money in the world, but it couldn't heal his cancer, right? But once again, if you lived his full life, to each their own. So Mended, a grateful thread. Of course, there's some historical music bands and stuff which it rhymes with, but a grateful thread is everything that makes you you, that now gives you this crazy perspective and unique ability to be a grateful thread to others. Everything I've created always has a unity and an equality, because I grew up and all races, all walks of life, a lot of very powerful women in my life. And so everything I do is unisex. It's Mended. It's becoming Mended. It's everyone together. But I trademarked woven as one. So Mended, a grateful thread woven as one. What does that even mean? It means, man, like, together we accomplish, together we climb. So it's like really trying to bring Mended. Okay, we're all on this goal individually. A grateful thread is, yes, I am unique. Woven is one, and then woven within. These are all trademarks I have, which are the storytelling that's going to go on through the next years. Almost like writing a book. It's like my table of contents. And so woven within, after woven is one, woven within is, greatness is woven within all of us. It's up to us to decide if we're going to use that and really hone in and sharpen our own sword and live our own life to become Mended. So we're always on the mend, which also I have on the mend. So these are all things surrounding this. But I mean, I don't know if you feel, but it's this journey that are connecting, so that the culture is there. The fabric is just a tool or a canvas to truly take people on this journey. But I'm thinking way bigger than just underwear. Underwear is just a tool, a connective tool. And through my last 20 years of pioneering the underwear category and really building a culture around it, when people see that band, it's no different than a Nike or even what Rude's doing with his fashion side of things, or anyone that's doing something really cool and unique and taking history, bringing it together with their own story. So Mended, a grateful thread woven as one. Man, it's woven within us. And then I also trademarked reminder to breathe. For me, and like I said, I'm very open and I love it, to each their own, because I just want to see people happy. But God breathed, life into us. And when we leave, our breath goes back to God. So regardless, breath of however you look at life, right now we're having a great conversation, exchanging something that maybe one word out of this whole conversation might inspire somebody to kind of go after their dreams. So reminder to breathe is man, right now at this moment, stop making excuses. Reminder to breathe. You're here, you're living. It's your breath. Take it in. Let yourself breathe. This isn't someone else's life, and go after it. So without going even more deep, all these things to me are much bigger now. Implement that into marketing, branding, and who do I want to work with? I want to work with people that aren't there and that are there, right? People that have went through the darkest of dark and you've seen them climb through, because I'm not here to judge. Like, I will open a door for everybody. If I close doors for people, who am I helping? I'm Mended is an open door to find interest, to want to make change. And then it's going to be a bunch of different things around it that maybe reminder to breathe. I mean, I have a lot of I'm a geek when it comes to you might geek out on the tech side and certain things and like the innovation or the NFTs and just digital, whatever. And I love that stuff. My brain's not as intelligent as that, for that side. But I love names and I love piecing them together. When I believe in them, I kind of normally file the trademarks and start to put them together. But I also have Fleet of Angels, and Fleet of Angels is it's like that. It's like, oh my gosh, this is part of our crew, right? Oh damn, look at little Dirk out there. He's going through this. He's changing his ways. He's deciding to be loyal here to his wife or go after something. But that's where he's at. And even if the person before him is going through a rough time in their relationship, has a bunch of mistresses and having fun out there and doing their thing, no judging. But if you have any interest in truly waking up and sleeping, I can't lie. I can't take people down a wrong path, man. My stomach eats me alive, So I know I just probably gave way too much on an 8-year, how long does it take to build kind of side of things. But I think everything in life is, what are you building? And then also, I'm sorry, your question was, how are you going to change culture? I think I'm just going to give them a chance to breathe and give them something that feels a little different. And then I launched with mesh underwear. Like, have people made mesh? Yeah, I've made mesh in the past 20 years, but I haven't found a mesh that's just soft, that feels right, that's comfortable, that's athletic, that's also lifestyleish, that you can you feel sexy, you look sexy, but you also have the performance values. But it goes back to the reminder to breathe. So my mesh thing, a lot of my mesh is my campaign of reminder to breathe. So if you look down and you see the underwear coming out of the bottom of your leg, out of the shorts, and you see, or whatever it is, you look down, you're like, dude, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to settle. I'm not going to make excuses. So how I'm doing it is just how I'm built. Some people might be like, I'm going to run a digital ad campaign and I'm going to sucker people into buying this because I'm going to convince them that they need a bump and an upsell here. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm going to let them breathe themselves and make a choice. And if they like how I'm living and how I'm feeling, and that provides any inspiration for them to live their best life, then we're all in the Mend together.
I love that. So you also have this supplements business. You have a company called Little Diamond, and you're focusing there on really making supplements and other types of positive vitamin oriented products for kids. It's cool to take, and something that they would enjoy to have. Why do you think that this approach here is going to really help in the industry? And how have you seen the results with kids? I mean, you mentioned you have a daughter. How have you seen the kind of results with kids wanting to take this more than like some of the other products out there?
That's another great question. You're just firing off great questions. Let me just give you some props. Okay, so my mom was a holistic nutritionist. She went from painting houses to all kinds of stuff to getting into the holistic nutrition space. I worked at a health food store before there was Whole Foods when I was a little kid. It was called Cassidy's, and my mom was in the vitamin section. I was in the produce section, and then I was the deli guy. Did dishes at like 14, 15. But I've always been intrigued by the space, and traveling the world, for No Fear and No Fear, Spy, Alpine Stars, and even being able to travel the world with Ethika. It's just all these things kind of comboed, a mix of stuff, but. I think it's so important. Once again, if you think about all my stuff I'm talking about, it all ties together. I'm not trying to be the best at country and the best at hip hop. I'm like, wait, what does a human being need, and where all these function? I think our next generation, as a dad or just in general, I I think they're not getting the proper nutrients they need. And did I completely solve everything? Not at all. Am I saying this is the end all? Not at all. But I did work with some amazing naturopaths and some great people to create a product that obviously, targeting kids. Um, but it's called Little Diamond, and I mean, think about it. If you're a parent, Little Diamond, and obviously much respect to Little Wayne, Little Yachty, all the littles out there, right? I mean, to me, it was like Little Diamond is every kid's unique, every kid shines in their own way. And then I created this really fun, like awkward shaped heart, this like diamond heart. And so back to the supplements is I literally did the research, worked with naturopaths in Australia and doctors and people to formulate something because the kids aren't getting the same nutrients because the soils these days, you hear all this stuff. I'm not the one that goes, oh my gosh, like, dude, eat McDonald's if you want to eat McDonald's, just be happy. But literally, I feel like our next generation, healthy cells build healthy cells. When there's a dead cell, it communicates and creates dead cells. So when we hear about clumps and as we get older and tumors and things like that, they normally come from unhealthy cells, clumping and producing unhealthy cells. So I used the greatest organic wildcraft harvested ingredients to create a product that tastes like a berry sensation. I mean, considering how good it is for you, it has broccoli sprout powder, selenium yeast. I mean, the things that are in it, and they're all specifically purchased from the most premium source. And it's not easy, but to make the product right. And does every kid like it? 100% no. What is one product they make? Even Kool-Aid, a lot of kids didn't like, and that was 7 pounds of sugar, or 7 pounds of sugar, right? So anyways, my excitement for it is to build a culture that happens to make supplements. So it's the supplement is one piece of it, but it's also, I, as a dad, as someone that cares about people, but also wants to help provide something good for the next generation to build a healthy nation, and grow. So, how am I going to change the world? Once again, spread the love. I just keep it simple. Like everything has to have a fun formula to it. So it's like, although I have the product, I could break down every ingredient and why the case studies behind these ingredients have a lot of statistics that show increase in a lot of things. It's really just about creating something fun. But imagine like when you tell, hey kid, hey little one, hey, come over. We're gonna have some broccoli right now. Oh, cool. That's so awesome. Let's have broccoli and spinach. Unless you're Popeye, whatever the case is, and maybe that's your jam. But it's like, no. Let me sell them on something that feels like any big brand. Gatorade obviously is an OG, but let me put like great ingredients in this thing that both gives the cool factor, but then also they don't even know what they're drinking. But then I also think it's a nation where I don't know if you're seeing this, but a lot of kids, adults, 20s, 30s, and even kids, they're kind of becoming a lot more aware with social media through social media and things. I mean, kids are cold plunging now at 10 years old. Who would have thought kids would be like, yeah, I'm going to cold plunge because I'm going. It's like, what? I'm going in an infrared sauna because whatever. It's like, I mean, kids are like now much more aware. And when you see these athletes coming up, especially athletes, I mean, their parents were probably athletes. And so they're going, I see dad doing it and it's kind of cool. So I'm going to become the next, Michael Jordan or whoever. So anyways, I think the category of health and wellness is amazing to me. And I try to eat well myself. It doesn't mean I don't have a cheat sheet, of stuff I love, but I just try to like what I eat, put good things in my body. But also if I'm going to do that and I can make something cool for kids to do, then that's kind of my goal.
Yeah, I think it's a great mission. Well, look, Malcolm, that's all the questions that I had. I appreciate you coming on. I think, throughout your career, just the different things that you've done, you've always try to inspire other people, try to help people achieve their potential, whether it's in various categories. With supplements, you're helping kids achieve their full potential in health. With underwear, you're trying to help people achieve their full confidence and be able to be confident to make decisions, progressing towards their future. And I think that's really, it's really great and impactful that you've done that. And I'm excited to see what you continue to do next now with Mendid, with the supplements business, with Little Diamond, and whatever you continue to create. So appreciate you coming on.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.